Today's story is about what happens when someone is trapped in a controlling, manipulative relationship predicated on predatory behavior, and they are screaming for help, begging for anyone to listen to what is happening to them. But no one listens until the unthinkable happens. They're painted as crazy and unhinged. Is blind faith involved? Undoubtedly. I mean, a pastor can't also be a bad guy, right? Anyone can be a predator, no matter their job. And being a pastor certainly gives one good cover and facade to hide behind, to which commit heinous acts against vulnerable people. This is the story of escaping a predatory and controlling husband, but escaping in the worst way. This is the story of what happened to Mica Miller.
If ever your life could be a true crime podcast episode, then this podcast is for you. We're about to embark on a roller coaster of emotions, insights, survival, and stories about escape. So buckle up and let the journey begin.
Welcome into the Escape Pod, everybody. You are really seeing the Escape Pod. I'm Julie.
Hi, I'm Charity.
We're trying something new.
Yeah, we heard you.
Right.
I want to see you. Well, someone said you guys aren't even on your website. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm not. But that plays into what I'm escaping today, which I'll just jump right into, which is how non-photogenic I am. What have you and Cara Beth have gone through this week trying to get an updated photo of me? And it's just like, how many? 90+% my eyes were closed?
No.
Yes.
Half.
Okay. So I've been dreading this, but Cara Beth has been in her sweet way. Get ready for this. We're going to have to do it, ladies. We're going to have to do it. So we are first not in our pajamas, which normally we are. I'm kidding. We're not.
We are not. But I did do my hair.
You did do your hair.
Did you like any of the ones I took yesterday?
Mildly one, I think, is passable.
Was it the same one I liked? Do you know which one I liked?
Well, I can show you.
I liked the one where you were not smiling.
I
it was kind of a
freaking
mono.
hated that
Oh, you
one.
didn't.
I hated
I
it.
liked that one.
You liked that
I
one?
thought it was pretty.
I thought I looked like I spit up in my mouth a little bit and I'm trying to swallow it down or something. That's the one?
I liked that one.
I hate that picture.
Okay, well.
Sorry.
Noted.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm sitting in the lobby with my mother-in-law waiting for a doctor appointment, and those come through, and I'm just like, Mona Lisa, I am not.
I'm sorry.
What are you escaping
You're
today?
the only one who thinks that way about yourself.
Besides
I'm
your
just
boss.
saying. Yeah. What am I escaping? Grant reports. Grant reports that are really long, and I love writing, but I don't love grant writing.
Right? Grant writing. Well, even the grant writing is better than writing a grant report.
True.
It is, because you get to tell your story.
Yes.
And put your best face forward. But writing a grant report is trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just different. It's a different beast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's definitely this little half hour,
AI's gotta
45
do that
minutes,
soon,
whatever
right?
we're down here for. This is my escape today.
Okay.
I am happy
Fair
to be
enough.
here.
Fair enough.
So you gave us a tidbit about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we're going to start
Tell me
doing
more.
that. Well, this is something that came onto my radar back in, I think, 23, and I heard another podcast do it. I'm pretty sure it was Sinisterhood that covered it, and really there weren't a whole lot of details, and it certainly was painted in a way where this young, 30-year-old, beautiful, just amazing woman, the official ruling is suicide.
Oh.
And just some things kind of weren't adding up.
Okay.
So probably about 6 months ago or so, 4 to 6 months ago, it's been on my list for a long time. I go and I start researching it. And one of the first things I came across was the 911 call shortly before her death. And it does seem like case closed. She killed herself based on this. And something just kept niggling back in my head. It's just like, there's something not right about this. And you know how I am with my feelings. So I just took another run at it, started digging in, and I got way more than I bargained for. And this is such a layered and complex story. And the way I'm going to tell it, I've never heard anybody tell it this way. it's going way back to before he even met her.
Okay.
And looking at establishing some patterns. So it's in 4 parts, which I've never done a 4-parter. I think we've done a couple 2-parters.
Correct.
So, but I promise you're going to get hooked because you want to know what happened and what the outcome's going to be. And hopefully by the end of 4 parts, we may have some more information as to what the fate of this pastor is going to be. But it also goes back to his childhood, and it is just so, it's infuriating, it's fascinating, it's sad, it's all the stuff. And hopefully there's some good lessons that come out of this too, because, you know, we've talked a lot about teen dating violence. In this case, this is some grooming involved.
Oh.
It's about, this starts with her when she's a child.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a youth pastor. And so we're going to go through the whole history. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Well, let me know when you're ready.
Well, as I do like to say, as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay.
Is it icky? Or icky in a different way? Not gory icky.
I mean, there's for sure some cringe factor.
Okay.
I don't get too graphic about some of the things that happened. I think some of the more in-your-face things is going to be more in part 4.
Okay.
When the family releases things that they have learned about their loved one in the wake of her passing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Take it away.
All right. So even though, like I said in the intro, the series is really about the death of Mica Miller, in order to really do it justice, we're going to go all the way back to get the right context. So for this part 1, we're going to start our story all the way back in 2000.
Okay.
And this is going to be about his first wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
More than one wife.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my.
Okay. So we're going to start in 2000. A lovely, lovely young woman by the name of Allison Williams is working at her church. She is the assistant to Pastor J.P. Miller at Solid Rock Ministries. Pastor J.P. is charismatic. Some say he's handsome. I disagree. I think he's kind of derpy, but that's me. Anyway, she falls for him, marrying him fairly quickly. They go on to have 4 children over 16 years of marriage.
Okay.
They're doing well financially, enough so that they can hire a nanny to help out with the kids and that kind of a thing. And everything really did look picture perfect.
Okay.
Your face is doing that face already.
Well.
Because those aren't the kinds of stories we tell
No,
here. I know.
not lately.
I'm so sorry. Not ever, maybe. So they meet their nanny through the church. We'll call her M. And M was a teenage member of the congregation. She joined when she was about 15. When she was about 18, she married the church worship leader, a man named Jeremy, who was also Pastor JP's best friend.
Okay.
So these are all, people really intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
JP and Allison and Jeremy and M became very close. So not only was M nannying for them, they spent a lot of time together. They'd have meals together, family time, all that kind of a thing, because she's spending a lot of time with their children. And M really became very much like a daughter to Allison. Allison taught M how to drive, helped her get her license because M had not the greatest relationship with her mother, which, hello, she probably would have been good friends with me. At some point, the nannying gig came to an end, and JP hired her to work in the church as well. So now all 4 people in these 2 couples are employed by the church.
Okay.
Okay. Now, a few years into this arrangement, Allison starts to grow suspicious, worrying that JP is cheating on her, possibly with M, despite the age difference.
Okay.
So she confronts him, and he admits that he has been sleeping with M. But not only M, he admits to hiring sex workers and even having inappropriate sexual contact with underage members of their congregation. So he just kind of dishes it. Oh. So it's this whole slew of things. But the real bombshell was dropped when he tells Allison, his wife, that he did these things because of the sexual abuse he'd endured as a child at the hands of his father.
Okay.
Also a pastor.
I mean, not okay, but an explanation. An explanation, not an excuse.
A possible explanation.
Sure.
Yes. So, understandably, this brings their 16-year marriage to an abrupt halt.
Okay.
And it sounds like the affair with M had been going on for quite some time.
Ooh.
Even allegations that it potentially started when she was around 15 or so.
Okay.
Still very, very much a minor, even before she married Jeremy.
Okay.
So it's a total mess. I mean, Allison could not get away from the infidelity because she's reminded of it everywhere she goes. Her work and her church lives were wrecked. Her marriage, her home lives were wrecked. And then the congregation was also reeling. I mean, churches are very much like family. In the wake of this news, it just was an all-around shit show. I mean, so she just couldn't get away with it. And because other church employees and members were involved in this scandal, there were questions as to if these sexual escapades maybe happened on church property. JP was ordered by the church council to enroll in a sex addiction program, which was fair. But the scandal completely tore the congregation apart. So the church council votes to have him temporarily step down as pastor and start taking this needed time for treatment. However, he somehow, I don't know if it was legitimate or he manufactured it, but he showed them something that proved in their minds that the bylaws the council was operating under had never been ratified. And as such, he retained the powers bestowed upon him by the previous bylaws, which gave him 100% decision-making authority in every single aspect of the church. Financial, his discipline, all of the above. Now, questioning his integrity, most members of the congregation said, peace out. We're done.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do this.
Depending if there's any suspicion that there were minors involved, why call the police?
Right.
Call the police.
Was not done. That was not done.
Okay.
Okay. You'll understand why. More about why, perhaps.
Okay.
But no problem for JP if all these people are leaving, right? He goes into immediate action, simply begins recruiting new members. He is very charismatic. But this time he's bent on operating the church under his sole authority and discretion. And because the church council had no power to hold him accountable, his wife Allison says he never underwent that sex addiction therapy.
Shocking.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure he was running to it and something stopped him on the way.
Yeah. No.
Creep.
He kind of liked his lifestyle, I think. But Allison wasn't gonna let this ordeal end there. I mean, they had 4 children together. You know, she's got a and now she knows there are other victims that were underage.
Very
and
true.
Perhaps she thinks if they came forward, maybe there could be other ways of holding JP accountable legally, since the church council couldn't enforce anything upon him. So, because he had disclosed to her the names of these underage females that he had violated, she reaches out to them and asks if they'd be willing to come forward. At that point, none were.
I believe
they were
that.
too scared. I totally understand. Have been there. You just want to heal. You don't want to immerse back into that trauma. So Allison, she goes to the police by herself, trying to establish some sort of case against her husband. Okay. Like, she wants to protect other people, including her own children, for whom they were in a current custody battle. And, she didn't know, had JP, abused her children, or, would he? Like, she just didn't know. And I'm not sure if law enforcement didn't believe her or not, or if they had seen similar situations, but somehow they led her to believe that these accusations were going to go nowhere. One, because of how high profile and prominent JP and his father were in the community.
Okay.
And added to the fact that Allison had already filed divorce papers.
Okay.
And without the testimony of the victims.
Correct.
It just looks like a vindictive divorcee trying to go after and, play these games that often happen during a divorce. So
yeah, which it does look that way. It also doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Right. But that's where that went. So she feels powerless. She's concerned about leaving her children with their father, particularly their daughter. And so she decides during the divorce proceedings, she managed to somehow work it in so that his visitation with their daughter was restricted solely to daytime hours, so nothing overnight.
Okay.
So she at least got that out of it.
I mean,
you've got to do what you got to do. It's
first,
so hard when you don't have complete control over their safety. That's really terrifying. Now, as soon as the divorce was final, JP marries M. Okay, so Mica is her name. Had divorced from Jeremy about a year prior to this. And even though she had contributed to ruining Allison's marriage, Allison still, oddly, was glad that M is in the picture because when JP had visitation of their children, at least there'd be someone there to add a level of safety.
I have a friend who had that experience too. It wasn't as though she liked the girlfriend, but she liked the girlfriend being around. And there was no suspicion of like sexual abuse of any kind. However, I think it was more just basic safety things like being a careless driver or maybe coming home intoxicated and you know, things like that she worried about. And so, yeah, it wasn't, oh, I'm so happy, like he has a nice girl in his life. It was more like, I'm glad my kids have somebody who
Eyeballs on,
is going to look out for them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair, especially if what JP said about his dad, what his dad did to him was true. I mean, that does often perpetuate.
Right.
So, okay, so from 2016, for about the next 5 to 6 years, the children continued to struggle with their feelings toward their father for destroying their family. But in the 2021, 22 time era, the situation takes a turn. Okay. So JP and Mica began having problems with their marriage.
Shocking.
The children seemed to really like Mica, yet JP would dredge marital issues into his sermons, essentially putting Mica on blast in front of the whole congregation.
Not okay.
He claimed she had mental health issues and would disparage her for it, which if she actually had mental health issues and you're putting her on blast in front of a whole congregation, what do you think the frickin' outcome is going to be?
Right.
Peace and tranquility?
Right.
I did not. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
The children witnessed this craziness. JP would call her crazy one day, warn his kids to stay away from her. And then the next day, oh, nope, she's fine. Everything's good here. According to Allison, their heads were just on a swivel. They didn't know, which way was up with that. They never knew what to expect from their father. And Allison also witnessed some things from this marital distress, like when she'd go pick up her children. Like once she noticed broken doors, holes in walls. The most disturbing one, I mean, and this is me just because I've dealt with holes in walls before, but pieces of paper with negative statements written about Mica all over them, posted around the house. Like, what the crap?
Yeah.
And then could
she tell, this is an in-depth question, whose handwriting? Was there any sense of who was
I didn't see it explicitly stated, but from these came out of court documents is where I'm getting this information. It appeared as if they were written about Mica from John Paul, JP.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote them so that they're reinforcing Mica's mental issues everywhere she looks, like she couldn't escape it. So, he told Allison that Mica was unstable. She was delusional. She'd see things that weren't really there. And he also told her that it's not safe for their children to be in his home due to her instability.
Okay.
I might play for you. I don't know if it'll come through, but I'll for sure play it for you when we're off the air. This video of him having a breakdown and a neighbor just catches it. I'll just tell you about it at first, and then I'll let you decide who you think has the mental health issues by the time we get through this 4-part series. But this neighbor comes out because they see John Paul in his driveway, he's parked his car and he's kind of flopped out of the driver's side, and he's now kind of on the grass and he's touching the grass and just being weird. And the neighbor brings his phone out and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on? Are you okay?" And he's got his side of the face on the grass and he's almost incoherent, "I just want to see Jesus. I just want to see Jesus." And he's like, "Do I need to call 911?" I mean, he's really trying to help him. And this goes on for minutes and minutes and minutes. And he's the one who needs mental health help.
Sure.
It is broad daylight. Anyway, it's crazy. I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
So it was about this time that John Paul starts cheating on Mica with someone named Susie.
Shocking.
The same time he's putting her on blast in front of the congregation. It's almost like that Thou doth protest too much. I'm going to say my wife's a lunatic. Therefore, when I finally get busted for banging this other chick, I am justified in doing so because my wife is crazy. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
And these two had met through their boys being on the same soccer team. And these kids knew the affair was going on. And you know how kids are. So they're mortified. And I mean, none of it was a secret. So now Allison is pissed when she finds out JP has already destroyed their children. And she's not having it. So she confronts both JP and Susie and says, you're going to stop this or else.
Okay.
She's going to put them on blast, right?
Yep.
And here's where it gets weird.
Just now it's getting weird.
I mean, okay, granted, things were already scandalous and strange. But after this exchange, JP calls Allison to tell her that Susie's husband has suddenly died in a drowning accident. I want you to write that on your little journalist notepad because you need to keep that one in mind. And 2 weeks prior to the drowning, said husband had approached John Paul telling him to stay the hell away from his wife and children.
Yeah.
Weird. Now he's just dead? Okay. Ken, I'm just saying it's interesting.
It's very,
Yeah.
very
Also, during this time, John Paul had Mica committed to a psychiatric facility for observation. I will talk much more about that in parts 2 and 3, probably. And so the question is this a coincidence or is it convenience? I don't know.
Yeah.
JP's own mental health, according to Allison, began spiraling out of control around this time, probably about the same time this video. I couldn't timestamp that video, so I don't know exactly when it was in his, but I would guess it was around this time. He did seem to be, I will show you because it is crazy, and we'll link it in the show notes, but it did appear to be someone who was like also experiencing guilt for having done something. Like, you know, when someone is just wrecked that, I don't know, it's like I would see my dad do that after he'd be, you know, abusive and drunk and whatever. And then or actually I'd see it when he is drunk and he's coming to terms with certain things. And that's when he'd get really conciliatory and like feel guilty and I'm going to be better and I'm going to do better and all this stuff. But this is when he started purchasing guns.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Okay.
Which he's not allowed to have because he's also a convicted felon, which I will get to in part 4.
Okay.
And he'd also been given like this special badge that clergy will often get from the police, you know, like being like a police chaplain or something. Okay. That said pastor, and he like if he ever gets pulled over, he could flash the badge or whatever. So I think he's buying guns as a convicted felon. I don't know, all of a sudden, maybe he prayed to God and God took out Susie's husband. I don't know. But like stuff's happening and he can flash a badge and he probably is feeling pretty invincible. And now, you know, church council, he doesn't have to listen to stinking church council. Like, so I'm sure he's feeling pretty on top of it.
Yeah.
So now Allison is seeing all of this happen. And she's even more terrified for the safety of her children, knowing now there's guns in his home. He's unhinged. He tells her Mica's unhinged. And he still has visitation of their kids. This isn't okay. But JP was the one who actually told her, hey, I'm going to stop spending time, like that prearranged time with my kids, claiming he was not well enough to care for them.
Well,
okay.
I can.
But to the public and to the congregation, it's Mica with all the problems.
Okay.
So again, just head on a swivel. And, you know, not that JP's having mental issues and Mica's having mental issues are not mutually exclusive. They both could be true.
Right.
But, you know, Allison has lived with this man for many years. She experienced much of the same patterns with him. So it stands to reason that he's the common denominator, you know? Yeah. And gaslighting Mica into thinking she's crazy by getting everyone in her sphere to think she's crazy could be just a tactic. Any rate, when Mica was released from the hospital, she actually tried seeking advice from Allison.
Okay.
Like, how do I leave him? You know, she'd been committed against her will. And I'll go into more details about how that happened and that it was him with all of the problems. She tells Allison that her children were not safe around their father, gave her information on the kinds of things and situations they'd been exposed to under his care. And from an affidavit I read, it sounds like perhaps Mica even provided Allison with some sort of proof, perhaps in the form of a recording or text message or something like electronic to corroborate what she was alleging.
Okay.
So Allison sprung into action. She attempted to get the courts to grant her sole custody of their children and not allow their father to see him in light of this new information. And then all of a sudden, Mica turns up dead too. And like I said earlier, the police say she died by suicide. Many people, including Allison, have their doubts, considering all the things Mica had told her very much matched Allison's own experiences when she was married to JP. And that is the end of part 1.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. You want to see a picture?
Sure.
And we'll post these too. So that's Allison. That's Derpy himself. That's his mugshot.
Well, Allison is lovely.
Allison is lovely.
Aww.
And then I'll show you Mica quick. And she's stunning.
Do they kind of look alike?
They look very much alike. You are not the only one to clue
That's
in
kind of
on
weird
that.
too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I have not seen a picture of Susie.
Let's go out on a limb. No, maybe she's completely different.
I don't know.
But
I did try. I could not find a picture of this mysterious mistress number, who knows how many, but yeah, they do look very, very much alike. Mica was just a very much younger version of Allison.
Fascinating.
And by the time we're done with part 4, the level of depravity in this, it's bananas.
Okay. On that note, let's take a little break and we'll come back and talk about someplace we'd like to be, our Escapism co-host style. Stay with us.
Are you an employer who's tired of expensive hiring platforms that fail to find good matches? Or are you a job seeker entering or re-entering the workforce? Or looking for a more meaningful career? Check out gravitate.work. Gravitate highlights job seekers' skills and offers short tutorials to help them through the hiring process. Our binary matching tools better match skill sets with open jobs. And employers can provide quick but crucial feedback to candidates they consider. Check it all out at gravitate.work today.
All right, we are back.
Whew. Made it
In
through
the
the first
escape
episode
pod.
with video.
I know, it is rather uncomfortable. You're so lucky
You know what, though?
can't
It's
see
warmer.
us.
With the light, it's warmer. So that's good.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you escaping to, my friend?
Happy hour, baby. Happy hour. As long as
Nice.
Snowmageddon doesn't hit, it is happy hour. And also, I have to go reorganize mother-in-law's locked,
Okay.
timed pill container.
Okay.
So, yeah, well, Dr. A puts her on meds as she thinks she should be on. Specialist today says, nah,
Oh,
nix,
geez.
immediately. I'm like, so talk about head on a swivel. You know, and then he's asking her, like, what do you want for your care? Which is great when doctors do that, because a lot of times it's just like, here's what we're going to do.
Yes,
That's
I'm
what
telling
she
you what
needs,
you're going to do.
you know,
Yeah.
and then, but he's giving her like all this latitude and she's just looking at me. And I'm like, you know, this is, and I don't want to say, you know, she's really struggling with short-term memory. Like this,
Yeah.
is, you know, so I'm just like, okay, here's a crazy idea. Tell me if it's stupid, fine, but why don't we do this? And he's just like, yeah, I think that's solid. I'm like, great. I just came up with the plan for a cardiologist.
Okay. I mean,
I just play one on a podcast. No, kidding.
that'd be fun. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Pretend to be doctors. People online do it all the
No.
time.
Ooh.
It's true.
Well, no, we've talked about stories. Fictitious people that are
Yeah.
doctors giving medical advice.
Yeah.
Or remember Dorothea Puente?
Yes.
I
It's a
mean,
doozy.
Lord have mercy.
I am escaping to Easter weekend at my parents' house.
Oh, that's this weekend.
It's this weekend. It means a really good ham and dessert are in my future. And yeah, should be. And we don't have the best weather today, but it's going to get better. So I love that.
I didn't even think about the weekend. My son's coming home tomorrow. So we're going to get to
So
see
you have
him
two
for a little while.
escapes. You have two escapes.
2 escapes. Yep. Of course, we'll go up into the hills because he
So
loves
you like
to do
your
that.
favorite thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. you incredible escape artists out there. We are so grateful for every single one of you sticking with us. The Escape Pod is just a small team here. I used to say 3 people. It's kind of 3.5 now.
I know. Should we turn
behind the scenes, we have a
Do
little.
you want to wave, Josh?
We have a little helper. I don't think it's going to pick him up. The Escape Pod is just a small person team. It is a labor of love, and your support keeps us chugging along. We are on a mission to grow this pod so that we can pour more resources into our nonprofit, One Heart, in Rapid City, South Dakota, where every dollar empowers people to break free from crisis and reclaim their lives. More listeners, more downloads, more impact. It's that simple.
That's right. We truly are a podcast for a cause. So many podcasts donate a percentage of their contribution or their donations to different nonprofits. 100% of what comes in for us supports this nonprofit. And here's where you come in. You can become a patron at escapepod.live and not only unlock bonus content, and I promise you, we have some amazing bonus content. You may have heard it already for the month of May. But there's going to be some behind-the-scenes stuff, some different, I'll get to in a little bit, but you can unlock the warm fuzzies of knowing that you're funding real-life breakouts. It's a win-win in this day and age where those seem to be harder to come by. Yeah. And just for a few bucks a month, you're not just a listener, you're a hero in our story.
And pro tip, downloading. Did I mention downloading? Downloading
Wait,
episodes.
What? Can you spell it?
Beats streaming every time. So it boosts our stats, pulls in more ad revenue, and helps us climb the charts so we can reach even more ears. Share us with a friend, rate and review wherever you listen, and hit that download button. It's a tiny click with a big impact.
I think Carabeth too said this week, she's like, remind them just to follow. And it's different in every platform, but if you follow it, it'll automatically download.
If you follow, some
and you don't have to go through one by one. Yeah. Easy peasy.
I auto-download, and if I can do it, if I can figure it out, anybody can.
That's right. And we really do want to hear from you. You can connect with us at escapepod.live, easy for me to say. Follow us on our socials, drop us a note at justbecause@escapepod.live, or send your wild escape story to us at escapeartist@escapepod.live, and maybe we'll read it on a future episode. And we've also been hard at work developing bonus contests, more gated content, and weekly minisodes. And spring is the time for things to blossom, and we're ramping up our content to celebrate the season.
Yeah, we are closing the hatch on this episode of the Escape Pod, but remember, trauma may be inevitable. How you grapple with it is optional. So stay resilient.
And keep away from derpy pastors.
And turn in predators to the appropriate authorities. And keep laughing.
I usually have that planned. I didn't think about it today until right now. Sorry, it's the first thing that came to mind.
Bye, everybody.